Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. Yeah, it's your boy E-Man. Falcons Fandemic, we on that plan. All the hype in the city, let me break it down. Atlanta Falcons, wear the crown. Cruising down Peachtree in my Falcons gear. Pockets on the speakers, E-Man's here. Covering the news, all the buzz on the block. Fandemic family, yeah, we can't be stopped, yeah.
Man, that intro was just a little too hype for me right now at this moment after this loss. I almost didn't play that thing, but guys, we're Falcon fans. We don't waver, right? But the Falcons just suffered a humiliating 34-10 defeat against the Dolphins, leaving us Falcons fans stunned and searching for answers. You know, that 34-10 score doesn't even tell the whole story of the Falcons' meltdown. This was a complete system failure for us. We're going to break down 5 key reasons. Yeah, I did say only 5, even though it was more than that. But we're going to break down those 5 reasons for this implosion, from the catastrophic offensive failures and injuries to the baffling coaching decision that continue to plague us, that sealed our fate in this loss. But guys, Atlanta's offense is officially broken. You know, with Stars sidelined, we were without number 1 receiver Drake London. We were without our number 2 Darnell Mooney, who's still trying to find. Well, I ain't gonna say we were without him, but he's still trying to find his way back, still trying to get his footing. And then you have still don't have an official starting number 3. So the offense has completely collapsed. You know, in a humiliating. I mean, this was a humiliating loss. Outside of Bijan, I mean, once you blanket Bijan, I mean, and then you without Drake London, Darnell Mooney is not. He's not all the way back, and then we don't have a solid number 3. We're back to square one. All the things that Raheem Morris tried to save us from is coming to us and is coming to fruition right now. But we're going to expose how a broken run game and critical third down failures reveal a much deeper problem than just injuries. You know, this wasn't just a 34-10 beatdown at home, nonetheless. But after a week of optimism facing a team we should have handled on paper, the Atlanta Falcons didn't just lose to the Miami Dolphins; they completely imploded. You know, if you're a Falcons fan, you're stunned, you're angry, you're asking one simple question: how on earth, how in the world did this go all so wrong? This was supposed to be our get-right game against a 1-6 opponent. Instead, it turned out to be an absolute clunker, a total system failure that has this team sitting at 3-4, below 500 once again, and searching for answers. So we're not just here to vent today, guys. We're just going to break down the decisions, the stats, and the on-field moments that led to this catastrophe. We've identified 5 key reasons for this disaster, from a severely handicapped offense and baffling coaching decisions to a defense that simply just folded. Bend and don't break. We bend and broke. This wasn't a single mistake. This was a perfect storm of failure, and we're about to explain exactly how that happened. Let's get into it. So the story of this implosion begins before the game even kicked off. The Falcons entered this matchup severely wounded, and it set the stage for everything that went wrong. Playing without quarterback Michael Penix Jr. and number 1 wide receiver Drake London, it's not just a next man up situation. It's a fundamental blow to the entire offensive identity. Losing Penix meant turning to a veteran Kirk Cousins, a quarterback making his first start since being benched last season. But the bigger and perhaps more crippling blow was the absence of Drake London, our number 1 receiver. Without him, the Falcons' passing attack lost its primary threat. The guy who dictates coverages opens up opportunities for everyone else. Kyle Pitts had a decent game, but without London on the other side, the Falcons' defense could key in on. The Dolphins' defense could key in on him, simplifying their assignments and making life miserable for a quarterback trying to find his rhythm. This wasn't just about missing talented players. It wasn't about missing the right players. The 6 inactive starters that we had included defensive lineman Zach Harrison. That created a domino effect on the weakness on this roster. The key plan that offensive coordinator Zach Robinson had built all week was likely torn up and retaped. Instead of attacking, they were patching holes. When you're forced to start a backup quarterback and take away his most damaging weapon, the dangerous weapon, you're not just asking him to manage the game. You're asking him to perform a miracle. And that's what we needed from Kirk Cousins. And on Sunday against the Dolphins team desperate for a win, there was no miracles to be found. It set the stage for a complete offensive collapse. And that collapse started in one area where the Falcons were supposed to be dominant, leading us directly to the second point. Reason number 2, the abysmal, unforgivable collapse of the run game. You know, if you had to point out the one most shocking thing that happened in this game, in this 34-10 disaster, it's the total disappearance of the Falcons running game. This is the lifeline of the offense. The team was built around the run game. It was built around this elite talent of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, the dual backs. Yet, against a Miami defense that came into the game with one of the league's worst run defenses, the Falcons' ground attack was a ghost. You're talking about a defense in Miami that's either last or next to last statistically in every defensive category. And we couldn't do nothing. So let's look at the horrifying numbers. As a team, the Falcons managed a season-low 45 yards. Bijan Robinson, one of the most electric and arguably the best running back in the entire league, was held to just 25 yards on 9 carries. That's 2 games straight, guys, that Bijan has been underutilized. Tyler Algier was even less effective with 4 yards on 4 carries. I said 4 yards on 4. I forgot what the numbers were, but he had more than 4 yards. In the first quarter, the entire team produced a total of 1 rushing yard. That's not just bad. It's a complete system breakdown. On paper, this was the Falcons' biggest advantage, and it was utterly erased. The failure had catastrophic consequences. When you can't run the ball, the playbook shrinks. The offense becomes one-dimensional and predictable. It puts Kirk Cousins already playing without his top receiver in obvious passing situations, down after down. The Dolphins' pass rushers, no longer had to respect the threat of play action. They could just pin their ears back and attack. It created a vicious cycle. The run game fails, the passing situations become impossible, and the offense grinds to a halt. You cannot win in the NFL, and you certainly cannot support a quarterback making his first start of the season when your supposed strength becomes your most glaring weakness in the run game. It was a stunning failure of execution from the players and a failure of scheme from the coaching staff, a failure that made every aspect of the offense 10 times harder. Reason number 3, drive-killing momentums, crushing third down failures. When your run game vanishes and your star receiver is on the sideline, you're going to find yourself in a lot of uncomfortable third down situations. And on Sunday, the Falcons weren't just uncomfortable on third down, they were completely inept. This is where drives go to die, and the Falcons offense provided a masterclass on how to kill your own momentum. Everything from penalties to situational play calling to downright non-performance. You're going to lose that momentum. But the final stat line is a brutal indictment. Atlanta converted only 2 of their 11 third down attempts. 2 of 11. That's an 18% conversion rate. You simply cannot sustain an offense with numbers like that. It's the calling card of a team that is consistently stalling out, unable to move the chains, and forced to send the punter out time and time again. This wasn't just 1 or 2 missed plays. It was a pattern of failure that defined the game. 2 of 11, 18% conversion rate. With that, guys, your defense stays on the field. So you can't really blame this defense. Although they made a couple of errors themselves, you cannot really blame the defense in this game. it was a total offensive failure. Each failed third down did more than just end a drive. It compounded the team's problem. It sent a gassed defense right back onto the field to face a Miami offense that was gaining confidence with every possession. It prevented the Falcons from ever establishing a rhythm, from ever making the Dolphins defense feel uncomfortable. The Dolphins defense came in play after play more confident than the last that they were going to stop the Atlanta Falcons. There were no long clock chewing drives to be found. The Falcons gained just 11 first downs the entire game. To put that in perspective, Miami had 24. This is what an offensive implosion looks like. It's a chain reaction. A non-existent run game leads to predictable, long yardage third downs. And those third downs with a backup quarterback and limited weapons become nearly impossible to convert, even with an experienced Kirk Cousins. The offense goes 3 and out, the defense gets worn down, and the scoreboard gets uglier and uglier. The inability to sustain drive was a direct symptom of all the Falcons other than the Falcons' other players, other problems. And it guaranteed they never had a fighting chance. Reason number 4, and to me, the most important, the baffling coaching decisions and a stagnant game plan. When your team is getting dismantled at home by a 1-6 opponent, you have to look at the sideline. And in this game, the coaching staff did their players no favors. From the play calling to a general failure to adapt, this was a tough day at the office for Raheem Morris and his staff. The most glaring issue was the offensive game plan itself. Knowing that Kirk Cousins was starting and that Drake London was out, the plan needed to be built around protecting the quarterback and creating easy throws. Yet, the offense looked stiff and predictable. Where were the screens that were supposed to get Bijan out open in the flat in space? Where were the quick slants and rollouts to move the pocket and neutralize the pass rush? Instead, Cousins often looked uncomfortable, settling for checkdowns that went nowhere while the Dolphins defense teed off. The offense was consistently put in bad situations, and the play calling from Zach Robinson did little to help them out. This was a concerning trend for me. It's a trend. I mean, even in the game we won. But even before this game, offensive coordinator Zach Robinson had faced criticism for an offense that, despite his talent, ranks near the bottom of the league in scoring. This game was a microcosm of those struggles. There was a stunning lack of adjustment. As a lack of adjustment, there were none. When the run game was clearly not working, they seemed to have no effective counterpunch. When the pressure was getting to Cousins, there was no schematic answer. It felt like they were just running into a brick wall, calling plays, turning the page, call the next play. This extends to head coach Raheem Morris, whose engaged management and lack of team preparedness are under the microscope. A team's body language and energy often reflect its leadership, and the Falcons look flat and devoid of urgency. It's the head coach's job to have the team ready to play, especially in a game they were expected to win. Instead, they were dominated from start to finish, just like the San Fran game. This loss wasn't just on the players, it was a coaching failure from top to bottom. Reason number 5, a critical turnover in a lifeless defense. Like I said, I'm not putting a whole lot on the defense because they got gassed quick. You know, and while the offense deserved the lion's share of the blame, the defense was far from innocent, though. For a unit that is supposed to be the backbone of this team under Raheem Morris, they bent, they broke, and at the most critical moment, they failed to make a play. The defensive unit, the failure was their inability to stop the run, allowing Miami to control the game. That took all the pressure off Tua. He finished with an efficient 4 touchdown performance. But the true gut punch, the moment that felt like the final nail in the coffin, came in the third quarter. Down 17-3, the Falcons offense finally showed a spark of life. A long pass interference call and a 17-yard run by Bijan Robinson put the Falcons deep in Miami territory. For the first time, it felt like they had a chance to make it on a one-score game. They were in the red zone on the 10-yard line with all the momentum, and then disaster struck. On the very next play, Robinson fumbled the ball. The Dolphins recovered in the drive. The momentum and any realistic hope of comeback was instantly gone. But God, truth be told, that game was over before the players even hit the locker room at halftime. But that one play symbolized the entire day. Even when they did something right, a self-inflicted wound was right around the corner. A defense that fails to create turnovers and an offense that gives the ball away in an opponent's red zone is a recipe for a blowout. Following that fumble, the body language on the sideline was palpable. The defense, which had been on the field all day thanks to the offense's incompetence, seemed to lose its remaining fight. Miami would go on to score 17 more unanswered points, turning a competitive game into an outright embarrassment. I'm not going to get into specific players and how they fell short, because I want so bad to talk about the JD Bertrand and the decision that was made to put him in at middle linebacker. But that just adds to the coaching blunders that continue to plague us. Right? Situational play calling. There is none. But guys, if you want to join me today, I will come back today and do a podcast live so we can get deep down into this thing. I'm not going to do it right here and right now, but I'm going to get deep and dive deep into the Miami game. That probably tonight, probably after right before the game. But I'm going to end this right here. Falcon fans, that's all the time I have for right now, because I really didn't want to do this, but I had to put up a video and give my view. But that 34-10 loss to the Dolphins on Sunday, that was a gut punch. A perfect storm of failure. Like I said, it started with the crippling injuries that compromised the entire offensive game plan, one that which we didn't make no adjustment. It was compounded by a run game that completely vanished and an inability to convert on third down. You add in the questionable coaching that failed to adapt and a back-breaking turnover at the worst possible moment, and you get a 34-10 humiliation. It wasn't one single thing, but a cascade of errors that led to one of the most disappointing losses in recent memory. There was no other way to put it. And we broke down exactly where this team failed and what needs to change. The question now is, was this a one-game aberration, or is this a sign of a deeper problem? Can the Falcons fix this fundamental issues before they have to hit the road and face the next opponent? Or is the inconsistency that has plagued this team a fatal flaw that would define our season? What do you guys think? What, in your opinion, was the single most biggest reason for this implosion against the Dolphins? Was it the injuries? Was it the coaching, the run game, or was it entirely something else? Let us know down in the comments. Jump down in the comments. I look forward to them. But finally, guys, I want to give a massive shout out to every single person who tuned in to this video, who took the time to watch this video. You could have been doing anything else, but you took the time to watch the video. But your support means everything to me and the whole channel. You know, if you agree with me, disagreed, or just need to vent after that performance, please just jump down in the comment section right now and let me know your thoughts on the game, who you're blaming, and what questions you have for me. I'll be there reading and responding. But before you click away, you know the drill. Hit that like button to show your support. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications so you never miss another piece of Falcon news, reaction, or analysis. But we'll be back later tonight to break down the rest of this game, and to also take a good look, first look at the New England Patriots that we got coming up next week. But until then, guys, Falcon fans, as always, stay loud, keep repping the red and black, and as always, rise up. Peace.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's your boy E-Man. Falcons Fandemic, we on that plan. All the hype in the city, let me break it down. Atlanta Falcons, wear the crown.